Makes Community is committed to the idea that everyone is a musician. They just might not know it yet. Our meetings are a safe space where people from a variety of musical contexts can come together and learn from one another. It's a place where we are all learners and we're all teachers.
Now it's call and response. I sing the same line each time and you step up one each time. So I would go shukuru and you respond with shukuru Yesu. So let's try that. I go shukuru,
shukuru Yesu,
shukuru,
shukuru Yesu,
shukuru,
shukuru Yesu,
shukuru,
shukuru Yesu,
shukuru, shukuru Yesu.
We're teaching, practicing and teaching a way of leading, a way of discovering authority. And more, as I read the Gospels, I see that we're actually following back to the kind of teaching that Jesus did. And you think of how often in the Gospels Jesus appeals to people's what they already know. You know, what father among you would give your child a stone if he asked for bread? You know how it is when you see the trees in leaf. He's saying, pay attention to what you know. Act from your own God-given integrity. Our freedom is born as we listen to one another, as we see a loving face looking at us, as someone changes, transforms stranger into friend. As all of those things happen, we begin to discover that there is something in us that is holy, courageous, compassionate, creative, and that we can act from it.
Let justice roll, roll, roll down like water, and righteousness like an everlasting stream. Let justice roll, roll, roll down like water, and righteousness like an everlasting stream.
I think the church is changing. I think music that makes community is a reflection of changes that are already happening in our culture at large. People are hungry for new models and new ways of engaging their creativity.
Let justice roll, roll, roll down like water.
I think that new ministries are cropping up all over the place, and the church is benefiting from it.
In the rest of my world, I am a performer, so I work with directors, and in that setting, it's much more about doing it perfectly and doing it right or wrong, or we want it like this, more that. And in this world of paperless music, it's so much more about singing for others. It's a gift to others. So by that same token, the vulnerability that I'm able to offer to others and to receive from my fellow singers, that's such a gift.
Let the light shine on me, shine on me.
I feel as though when we gather for our events, whether they're a one-day workshop, whether it's a 3-day event, there's this beautiful kind of overflow that happens where one leader's enthusiasm touches a room full of people.
That's right, y'all.
And what we really do, which is for me the best part, is we're then taught to go home, back to our communities, and not lead music in front of everybody, but teach them, empower them.
To get off of the bench and actually stand in front of the people with nothing between us was terrifying. And removing that barrier was really valuable in really coming closer to the people, engaging them. They suddenly had to learn to watch me rather than just see the back of my head upstairs behind them. And I had to look at them in the eye. It was a much more relational way of singing than I'd ever done before. There's been a great divide for many years between the so-called traditional and contemporary worship movements. And one of the things I find really fascinating and wonderful about music that makes community is that it doesn't fit into either of these categories. It defies labels almost. Because really what we're up to is singing in a very, very old way. We didn't make anything up here. We're recovering something that once was. But yet it's not the way most people have sung in church in recent decades or even centuries. So in that sense, it feels very new.
At Music That Makes Community, we teach people how to write music. Most of them have never written music before. Most of them cannot notate music on paper. It's not necessary. They record it into their iPhones, or we get someone who does write music to copy it down for them. Then they come back to the gathering and lead the songs that they've written. And it's really amazing. First of all, the quality of their work is fantastic. It's really surprising what a first-timer can do if they've had the right preparation. Secondly, they themselves are powerfully moved by what they were able to do. They hear the song coming back at them, and it's a really deeply moving experience for them. And I think for a number of them, it puts them for the first time in their life in ownership of their creative process. Well, that's a powerful place for someone to move forward from.
I think it's a movement. I think it's a radical movement because I think all that is divine in people today is looking for a place to express itself.
I hear a lot of fear from people in traditional worship settings that church is dying, and I don't see that. I see church growing into places it has never been before.
I've been pleased and astonished over this period of time to see that we've got now 1,000 people who have participated in this very, very intimate, powerful, personal workshop series. And I've heard over and over again from people that they've gone home and put things into practice.
There's such a humanity to this type of singing, and it does stretch way beyond the walls of just an MMC workshop or a paperless music setting. It stretches into the rest of my life.
From this house to the world.
Like I said, it's a movement of grace that flows out from any event in concentric circles. And hopefully, as we have more and more events in more and more parts, not just of this country, but around the globe, hopefully that kind of grace and compassion will continue to expand from each one of us to all the people that we empower, that we touch, and whose voice gets lifted up.
Oh, from this house.